Hello, everyone, and welcome into the 11th edition of LFP Live. A late start. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us. Brian had some technical difficulties, but people are
It
here.
was
People are
bad.
taking it well. Brian, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing better than my computer. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Because I don't know what actually happened, but essentially I had to hard reboot the entire thing 5 minutes from showtime. So yeah, it's been a bit of a rush around here this morning, but I am here. But you know,
We're here.
not without the struggles.
Exactly. We're here and ready to go on a game day, another playoff game day edition of LFP Live. Thank you to everyone who has joined us, who stuck with us for this first 10 minutes here. Usually we go live at 9, as you know, and it's closer to 9:15, so we really appreciate it. Jeff Johnson, good morning. Matt Hyman's in here. Matt Hyman got his cold brew that I have in here as well. You can't see it, obviously, but it's good. Good. Got to have the Doug. The coffee is on. Everyone's got their coffee on. Um, yeah, Brian, you've got to answer the laptop or the computer allegations here. It's getting slandered in chat.
No, it was funny, and maybe it took it personally. So this morning I was having a conversation that I need a better laptop because I use it more. But
Right.
the desktop which I use for this has been managing fairly well, and it said, "Let me show you how I
Yeah.
manage so incredibly poorly."
Yeah. Exactly. This is the classic from Rob. Just unplug it and plug it back in. Come on.
Yeah,
How,
100%.
how hard could it be? How
I
hard could it be?
effectively did
Uh,
that. The sound that
yeah.
it made when I turned it off was not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Jeff saying live from the whiteout party and inside the arena. Amazing how quiet it is
Got you
where you
covered.
guys are. As you can see, yes, Brian also is a part of the green screen squad now.
I
And
have acquired a green screen.
yes, which is huge for the program for sure. Um, Elliott wasn't able to make it this morning, but he will be back Monday morning to break down this game and then preview game 5, which game 5 officially is 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday night. But we've got a game today. We've got a game in roughly 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours at 1:30 local start here. Before we get into game 4 and what we're expecting today, Brian, what did you see from game 3 of the Jets? Obviously, the massive third period collapse and the 6-2 loss to go down 2-1 in the series. What did you take away from that game?
I mean, we were having a very healthy rant session in our group chat that we have together. And
Yeah,
my biggest thing is we have seen legitimate flashes of that incredible defensive system, that way to hold, high-powered teams to, very low event, style, play. And I think what happens though is that first little bit in the first I thought was, that looked like the Jets. It was low
yeah,
event, and if you're holding Colorado to low event, that's a win.
that's a win.
But the second something seems to go wrong, whether it's, a defensive breakdown, a turnover, then they get caught in their zone, and then everything after that is a disaster.
Yeah,
And we saw that several times, and then the third period, uh, yeah, I mean, I what I will say is that the penalties that were called on the Jets, fair. The penalties
we're
that weren't
penalized.
called on the Avs, ridiculous. Like it
Yes, that's yeah, yeah.
like there was no game management there, and that's usually what the refs are perfect at, but um
The one
it
time we
was
needed game management, it wasn't there.
no,
Unreal,
like I'm just
unreal.
thinking too, like the one that really, bothers me is the one where Velarde was sent off for the 4 minute.
hmm
Literally seconds before that, Connor is hauled down, streaking towards the net, and nothing
Yeah,
happens. And
yeah,
then Velarde gets called on the high stick where I'm like, come on now.
yeah,
But
yeah. That the
we
optics
can,
of that one were really bad because,
yeah,
like you said, he just got tripped, and then the play ended. You just see this Colorado player down. You're like, oh, what happened there? Then the refs talk about it, and then at the end of it all, they end up with a 4-minute penalty kill, and then yeah, the Avs ran away with this game. Um, Jeff saying Jets need to start to the game today like the Lightning did yesterday. We're going to get into a game 4 preview, but this is going to be a big part of it. Dallas had their backs against the wall yesterday as well with a big overtime win over Vegas. Their first period, they came out flying. I think outshot them 19-7. We're up 1-0. The Lightning obviously were down 3-0. They were actually facing elimination, but they came out and were leading 3-0 after one, I believe, and then ended up winning 6-3 in that one as well. But real quick on game 3, I saw something from the Jets in this game that I haven't seen in the series yet, and that's that they outplayed them at 5-on-5. Like in the entire game. I mean, the third period was an entire Avalanche power play, so you can't really
Yeah.
say that. But the first 2 periods, the Jets analytically and from the eye test were outplaying the Avalanche at 5-on-5. And then a power play would happen here, a power play would happen there, and it would be an even split. You take the 2-1 lead into the third period, very similar to game 2. You give up a million goals. Well, game 2, it wasn't into the third period, but it was right at the end of the second period that they collapsed. And the 2-1 lead, obviously going into the third on what day was that? Friday night, late Friday night. And then the penalties and the goals just came in a hurry. But I think that should give Jets fans hope. I think a little bit going forward here is the fact that they did outplay them at 5-on-5 and they were in the fight on the road. And then, yeah, the third period happened and it is what it is. Mark Scheifele talked about like riding the emotional roller coaster of a playoff season. And so I'm going to expect this team to be ready to go today. Afternoon games, Connor Hellebuyck's good in afternoon games. And I think the Jets are kind of going to be playing with some desperation. They know they have to win a game on the road or also be down 3-1. And given how they played on Friday at 5-on-5, especially, I think that should give them confidence going forward. I don't know if you saw the same thing I did at even strength before the third period happened.
Yeah, like I mean, I feel like the offensive game really felt as if they were actually feeling it. Where I mean, we got a
Yeah,
goal from Toffoli, who has been an absolute, ghost for the first couple games. The
yeah,
second line seemingly, had a little bit of success there, but for me, the biggest thing is keeping that up, but also doing what made you successful in the regular season, which was having a slightly more aggressive offensive approach from the back end. They're playing so
totally.
passively right now, just trying to prevent. I think the second that they come to the realization that, yeah, you're probably going to give up chances if you play a little bit more aggressively, but you're also going to generate more. So if they do that,
It's the
which is,
old saying. Yeah, it's the old saying. It's like, how do you stop being hemmed in your zone for 3 minutes? You deny the entry in the first place.
Mhm.
Like that's the like I don't know. The Jets were so good all year denying entries and neutral zone defense. And it feels like in this series, they're like you said, they're playing so scared of Nathan McKinnon and so scared of Mikko Rantanen and Arturi Lehkonen that they're just letting them come into the zone and saying, like, oh,
Yeah.
these guys are special talents and they're gonna get their chances. So let's just let them into the zone. Like they're just backing up, giving them too much respect, which Rick
Yeah.
Bowness before the series
Play
started
smart.
said that, yeah, said that was something they didn't want to do, but it looks like they are doing it. I agree.
Yeah, like play smart, and if you use the back end to better, allow yourselves to create offense, it's
Mhm.
just another dimension that's a little bit harder to cover, and they probably have a better shot at, getting better chances. But no, like we're seeing, yeah, like they just back up and just wait for the chances to
Yeah.
happen now rather than trying to be aggressive and then mitigating whatever comes next.
Yeah, I agree. And that's been a common theme, and I think in that first 2 periods, they were still doing that, but the change to have Nate Schmidt in there instead of Logan Stanley kind of added a little more puck movement, and that pairing usually gets lined up with the Ehlers line. Like the third pair would be with the second line. The Morrissey group is usually with the top line or the third line kind of thing. And better puck movement for that line, I think, really helped the second line. And I think Nate Schmidt played a great game. And it'll be interesting to see what happens today because, as many people saw, to put a bow on Game 3 here, Brendan Dillon cut his hand pretty nastily. I don't know if that's a word, but but it was nasty. It was gross. I only watched it once because I couldn't watch it again. He cut his hand in a late game scrum. It looked horrible. But thankfully, Rick Bowness did say that he's only day to day. There was no structural damage. There was no tendon damage. The cut was like it looked like it was right here. So that's a really bad spot in terms of where you could have lost a thumb, but it sounds like he dodged everything, and he said the doctor stitched him up, or Rick Bowness said the doctor stitched Brendan Dillon up pretty quickly. So we'll see if he even plays. And if he doesn't, what the defense pairings looks like. They didn't do line rushes yesterday at all. So yeah, and Matt brings up AJF here. They did recall Axel Jonsson Fjallby theoretically to put him in on the fourth line for David Gustafsson. I'd like that kind of injection of speed, helping the penalty kill a little bit more, because the Jets look slow at times against this Avalanche team, and AJF is not slow. He's very fast, and
Yep.
he's a really good forechecker. And Matt brought it up again here. It starts with a forecheck. What are you expecting from the lineup today? Not the Brendan Dillon stuff, but Adam bringing up Perfetti as well here. Are you expecting maybe not Cole Perfetti to be in? Because maybe I'll let you take that, because I don't know. I don't expect him to be in the lineup. I obviously think he should be maybe on that fourth line in place of Gustafsson. Where are you at with today's lineup? What are you expecting? What do you think they'll do? And what do you think they should do?
Well, it's like for like most of the season, it feels like there's never some drastic, lineup change where the top
Mhm.
6 remains or top 9 remains almost entirely untouched, and they just
Right.
shuffle guys within that. So I assume, just based on what we've seen, it's going to be a straight swap for a fourth line guy, and then they're going to bring in AJF just because he plays the quote unquote playoff style. If you're putting Perfetti in, I would put him in the top 6. Like, obviously,
Mhm.
that especially that second line is doing very little. Like, obviously, they
Mhm.
they finally got a goal, in game 3, but I really don't think that line is doing enough, and I think you would be able to, at least try something by putting Perfetti in there, but I
Agreed.
don't see it happening. Um, the AJF for Gustafson seems like a stereotypical Bones move where it's like the lower impact guys, because they don't play as much, swapped out for a guy who, plays the style he's looking for.
Yeah, and I do like the style that AJF brings here. I think the speed and forecheck is a real asset in a playoff series and can really help. I just think they need goals as well. And Perfetti's proven that he can be somewhat responsible defensively. And the last game I believe he played, I don't know if it was against the Kraken, or no, it was the game where all the young guys got in. Sorry, it wasn't the Kraken. I forget what Vancouver.
Yeah.
He scored twice in that game, I believe. One was an empty netter where he picked off a pass and threw it into the empty net, uh, playing good defense late in the game, kind of breaking that stereotype that he's not a good defender. Anyways, is it Miller time, Brian? Because if Brendan Dillon doesn't play, theoretically Dylan Samberg will move up to that second pairing with Neil Pionk. And then the third pairing with Nate Schmidt on it, they might move him over, have Colin Miller come in. They might put Logan Stanley back in, which I think would be a mistake given the fact that he hasn't moved the puck well at all. And you need to move the puck well against this Avalanche team or they're going to destroy you. What do you think if Brendan Dillon doesn't go? Do you think Colin Miller slots in, or do you think it's Stanley?
I think it's Stanley. I mean, like, as much as I like this bothers me greatly where they went out, they spent a fourth on a guy to not play him. Like,
Yeah.
I understand the whole idea of, insurance, but you don't, spend more than like a sixth if you're bringing in a guy who's going to be stapled to, you know, the press box and, just eating popcorn for weeks on end.
Yeah.
And I truly think that with what Miller brings, it would be a benefit to having him in the lineup. Like, he's solid defensively. He's
Hmm.
not bad at moving the puck. And he's got a bomb from the point that helps create chaos. That if you just fire it in there, maybe you can get a rebound, stuff like that. I truly think that having him in would be more beneficial. Also, because it's a different look. Like, the Avs got 2 games of a look at Logan Stanley, and they know precisely where his strengths and weaknesses lie. They've got probably a bunch of film on him too. They don't have
Hmm.
any little like semblance of an idea of what Miller's going to bring on the Jets because you haven't seen him in the system at all. He's played what, 6 games since bringing him
I
over?
think it's I think it's even less than that. I think it's 4 or 5. But
Yeah, but they don't nearly have enough puck moving, ability in Stanley to trust him. That's the thing. Like, there's a level of listen. Everyone always comes at me for this. This is where a guy like Ville Heinola would be incredibly helpful. You
yeah,
need to move the puck. You can't move the puck out of the back end. Obviously, bringing Nate Schmidt in helped that.
he did for sure.
Heinola has, in the last couple months of the season here, has had a fantastic, step in the right direction of finally looking like what he was before his injury. And obviously now he's done. That's the season's over.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a desperation move. And it's never going to happen because he's like 8th on the depth chart at this point.
Yeah.
But I think the next best thing is to bring in a guy that, can move the puck fairly well. Um, and just do enough, defensively like Miller would be the next best option for me.
And someone brought it up here. Kim brought it up. Bring in Miller. We need the experience. Like Colin Miller's played in the playoffs. He was on that
Went to the
Vegas team that
went to the
that went
cup
to the Cup
final.
final. Yeah, like he is experienced. That's a great point there, Kim. I agree. Like Logan Stanley, while he's had a resurgence and he did look really good down the stretch, he did really struggle in those first 2 games against the Avalanche's forecheck, against their speed, because he doesn't play a speed game. Colin Miller's played in the playoffs before, and he's a better puck mover, and I think that that's what the Jets need, plain and simple. Um, I do think that if Dylan doesn't play, it will be Logan Stanley though.
Yep.
But I think that's what's going to happen. Um, Jeff says, speaking of chaos, we need the net front chaos in front of Georgiev. The Jets, I've been saying this as well. They need to make the goaltending advantage that they had coming into the series actually a goaltending advantage. And the way you do that is just throwing a million pucks on net. And they did it in game 3 for the first 2 periods before everything fell apart in the third. And look, you got a terrible goal to Foley scored from the goal line. Like that should not go in under any circumstance, but that's where the goaltending advantage is. Throwing random pucks on net and letting Georgiev let in a squeaker here and there. Like I think the Jets, they did find something there in those first 2 periods of just throwing all pucks on net. And Connor Hellebuyck looked great for the first 2 periods before they were on the penalty kill for the first 10 minutes of the third. But I really do think that they are going to cause chaos in the crease today. Not to steal is that a Carolina Hurricanes like slogan? Cause chaos.
I
I think
mean,
it is.
honestly,
Yeah.
yeah, it is, and it's also how they
Yeah.
play. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree, Jeff. I think today's game. Do you want to maybe do the ad break now and then we'll get into today's game when we come back? Or
yeah,
let's do
like
that. Yeah,
kind of give that the little room to breathe there.
for sure. And there's a lot we're going to talk about with this game. So stick around. Thank you to everyone who has joined us for episode 11 of LFP Live. Stick with us after this word from DraftKings.
The chase for the Stanley Cup is on, and if you're looking to light the lamp, nothing beats DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. From the start of playoff beards all the way till hoisting the cup, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved.
And welcome back into the 11th edition of LFP Live. Thank you to everyone who has joined us today on this Sunday morning, late start and all. But we got an early game today. This is a playoff game day. 1:30 p.m. Central, game 4. Jets trail the series 2-1. Today's game, I think I'm gonna say I had a take on this game, and I'm gonna start off this conversation by phrasing it this way. I think the winner of today's game wins the series. I think if the
Yeah.
Avs go up three
Yeah.
one, I think if the Avs go up 3-1, it's curtains. Like yes, it's not over, but like
Feels like it.
coming back from down 3-1 against McKinnon, McCarr, all these guys that can win a game, is going to be really tough. But I think if the Jets are able to win this game today and tie it up 2-2, then it's now a best of 3. You've got home ice advantage for those last 2 games, and you kind of prove, maybe it all depends on how they win. If they win game like in a game 1 style where it's just they got lucky, if I'm being honest. Like I don't know if Georgiev lets in 7 goals again, maybe it's a little bit different. But I think if they copy and paste those first 2 periods from game 3, bring that into game 4, play a full 60 minutes. I know I'm asking for a lot here, but if they win and win the right way and look good doing so, I think that gives them the confidence going forward that they can win this series. And tied 2-2, that'd be a huge game 5. Do you agree with that take that the winner of this game today wins the series? I'm not saying this is the series, obviously, but that's just how important this game is, I think, in my mind.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, well, let's be real. Like, I think the biggest thing there is if the Jets lose today, the series is over because I can't see.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Teams have come back from down 3-1 before, and with Connor Hellebuck, things could happen. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. Like, I know down 3-1, it would be like under 15% chance, probably 10% chance that they would come back and win the series. But crazier things have happened, and I would keep the faith. But I agree. It would be
Yeah,
it would be a long shot.
no, I feel like, and I say that like it feels very dramatic, but the reason I say that though is with how the Jets have been playing in the first, you know, 3, and we're gonna see the first period here, how they come out. I don't know if we're gonna see anything different, and if we don't see anything different from, the team, I don't know how they're gonna, respond. Like, obviously,
Mhm.
there is always the chance that you manage to, sneak some by Georgiev early, but I truly think that you have to adjust something in your game plan to better, increase the amount and the quality of your chances, without, taking penalties and without being so passive defensively. Because if you're running that passive system defensively, you go down 3-1. I do not see a road to a series win in at all.
If they're down 3-1, yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be very, very much a long shot if that does happen. But I don't know. I got a feeling about today, man. Something about these afternoon games. Maybe it's the coffee, the stout coffee that Matt Hammond and I are both having here on this Sunday morning. But I don't know. I am an optimist. I will say, like I gone into every single game of this series thinking the Jets are going to win. But maybe I should switch it up then. Maybe I should switch my mindset. Clearly, things aren't working. We got to switch things up here. Um, but yeah, I think today's game, obviously, it's a playoff game. It's a must win. All 3 of the games before this have been must win as well. But this one is even more important given the fact that they can be down 3-1. And yes, with home ice in 2 of the last 3 games, it's possible. You have Connor Hellebuck. It's possible he could play out of his mind for the last 3 games and you miraculously come back. It is it's within the realm of possibility. That's what I was trying to get to. But I think today's game, I think, decides the series. And if the Jets are able to win and tie it up, then again, like I said, being the optimism guy that I am, I think that they carry that through and win the series. But down 3-1, that's a tough road to come back from. Um, let's talk about Connor Hellebuck because I did mention there that he can win if they were down 3-1. He could play out of his mind and get them back into a series, but obviously his numbers haven't been there. Um, you brought up Connor Hellebuck on Twitter the other day. A lot of people in your comments as well bringing up different things. What have you made of Connor Hellebuck's performance and I guess the first 3 games, but more importantly, game 3 and coming into game 4 today?
Yeah, I'm gonna preface this by saying, because for some reason I have no idea how, but it got misconstrued that I didn't put any blame on Connor Hellebuck. He's not blameless. He has not been nearly as dominant as he was in the regular season.
Agreed.
We have 60 games of regular season action to see what he can be, and he hasn't been that in the playoffs. But what I've also come to realize is that there's a hesitancy of applying context to why that might be, and that's the thing that's frustrating me where people are using, like, I think it's like his last 7 playoff games as a reason to throw away that he's the best goalie in the world. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think we also need to, apply the context of, have we not noticed that in the last several let's limit it to the last 2 series, right? Against
Hmm.
Colorado, against Vegas.
Hmm.
I recall the exact same conversations happening last year where the Jets found a way to be successful and then they abandoned that entirely in the first round, and their opponent took advantage of that. Their defensive system was the best in the league. They allowed the fewest goals in the league. Why are they playing so passively? You're allowing guys to just
Hmm.
fly past you because you're so scared. And then immediately Hellebuck is going to be, bombarded with, these chances. And obviously he's not able to save all of them. And obviously he can't be giving the puck away, puck handling. He can't be allowing the weak ones like he allowed to McKinnon in game 1 and stuff like that. So as I
Yes.
said, he's not blameless, but the context behind the whole situation here is that the Jets have not been good in front of him either. So
Yes.
you can't have one without the other. Obviously, he can steal games. We have seen him steal games, but it's so incredibly hard to do so when you're getting left out to dry for entire periods.
Like the
Like,
Avs have been creeping up at 50 shots in all 3 games. And
yep.
Connor Hellebuyck was fantastic for the first 2 periods last game in game 3. Like, he was the reason they were winning. And the second period, the Jets were playing great as well. Connor Hellebuyck kind of weathered the storm in the first, kind of end of the first and end of the second, where I thought the Jets were getting outplayed. But in between that, the Jets did take over and their defensive system was there and the lines were rolling and they were cycling the puck. And that's the formula. And then the third period comes, and yeah, the Avs have one of the best power plays in the league. They have 4 all-world players. If they're on the power play for 10 minutes in the third, they're going to score goals. Like, I I agree. I don't think he's blameless. I think he could be a lot better. I think they need a game here where they don't allow 6 goals or 5 goals or more
But if
to
you're
win.
relying on Hellebuck to steal games just so you can win the series, maybe there's a different issue at hand here.
But like, this is where the optimism comes from for me. I don't think that team is gone. Like, I just don't. I think they're playing scared. They played passive. I just don't think that team is gone. The team that can stifle a McKinnon defensively. Like, McKinnon's numbers in this series aren't that great. It's the Avs depth that's coming through. And you hope that would regress if you're from the Jets point of view. To hope that comes back down to earth. And then, yeah, I mean, the Avs have scored 5+ goals in every single game this series. And the only reason the Jets won a game is because Georgiev let up 5 goals above expected in game 1. Like, the Jets converted on all their chances in game 1. And weirdly enough, like, the Jets won 7-6. And I thought Connor Hellebuck played a good game in game 1. And then, but his numbers look terrible. It's the weirdest thing because like you said, I think he needs to be a lot better. I think he does. And I think he knows that. And the Jets know that they can't give up 5 goals every game.
Yep.
But it's the way that they're going about it. They can't rely on him to save 45+ shots every single night. Yes, he has the ability to do that, but that can't be plan A. And it looks like it's plan A right now because the Avs are just faster. I don't know. Yeah. Anything else on Hellebuck?
Less so on Hellebuck, but it's also, I think you were the one who was talking to me about this. Brissois stylistically, I'm not sure matches up very well against the Avalanche.
Yeah. I
Obviously
don't
it's
know
an
who
unknown.
does. Yeah.
Like, no one really does, but with how fast the Avs come at you, Brissois stylistically is a little bit more aggressive, and that you run the risk then of the idea of every shot that kind of comes at you with how much they attack. It's
Yeah.
very quick to get out of position. Obviously, with Hellebuck, he plays very deep in the net. He doesn't move around a lot, and that has benefited him greatly in his career. Um, So I truly think that what you'd be looking at is, I mean, I don't think it matters who's in net, to be honest with you, if you don't tighten up in front of you,
Mhm.
because if you're facing 40 to 50 shots a night, you're probably you're probably going to lose unless something happens to adjust for that. And honestly, I feel like the biggest onus here has to be on the coaching staff for not adapting enough to try and prevent that from happening, because obviously they've spoken very highly of their goaltending this year, but I don't think it's a coincidence that the best goaltending the Jets have got in years comes in the same year where they had the best defensive system in the league that they have completely thrown out the window.
Yes, and the second half of the year, it started going downhill, the Jets' defensive system, but then there was that road trip and that 8-game winning streak where they go into Dallas and shut them out. They go into Colorado and shut them out. And you're thinking, okay, here comes this defensive structure. They're healthy. Connor Hellbuck's looking great. Lauren Brossoit looks great at the time. Um, and you thought that like everyone thought they won 8 straight games, that this team was back and they beat the Avs 7-0. Like that's why we chose the Jets to win this series. Many people did. And we were kind of shocked that maybe the Avs were favored. But as we see, the Avs know how to expose what the Jets' weaknesses are. And I think it's playing with speed. And boy, do the Avalanche have a lot of that. I think this plays a big role in it as well. The Jets are doing a lot of this where there's a player in the corner that's like no threat to score, and they're chasing him, taking 4 strides and going to lay a hit, sure, like a big hit, not really. I don't know. That puts them out of position and they're getting beat to the net. And when you are getting cycled for 3 minutes and it's just over and over, and McKinnon and McCarr just skating circles around you, and then you go and hit Brandon Duhaime, you take 4 strides to hit Duhaime in the corner, who chips it 1 inch to Nathan McKinnon, who skates circles around you for 3 more minutes. Like I just think that's something that I've noticed a lot is the Jets stepping up to hit in places that I haven't seen them step up to hit at all this season. Yes, they're playing like playoff stuff, tough style hockey, but I think being aggressive at the right time, being aggressive at the blue line. Colby Armstrong from the Sportsnet panel brought it up going into the third period. Actually, the Jets were leading 2-1, and he said, "Don't get passive now. Like, stay aggressive at the blue lines. Get up on them. Don't let them, do what they do and cycle the puck for 3 minutes in the offensive zone." And the Jets just simply didn't do that. Obviously, they were on the PK the whole period, but they haven't done that all series. And I think that that's something that has to change big time going into Game 4. What else are you looking for in today's game? Obviously, as much of a must win as you can call it in the season, going down 3-1 potentially. What are you looking from the Jets? The start, the first period. What are you looking for?
Well, to kind of piggyback off your point there, where yeah, that was precisely what I was going to say,
Money,
Kim.
money.
Like,
Yeah.
if you don't have the puck, that's when you're hitting people. So if you're like trailing in the quote unquote hits category, it means you have the puck. And that is what I need to see from them, is I need to see better puck management. I need to see them
Rick Bonus
not
would agree with
making
you.
yeah, like I need to see them not making these stupid mistakes by just throwing the puck up the middle, because we've seen it too much. Because
Real quick, the
like
Scheifele
yeah.
turnover that made it 4-2 Avs in game
Oh,
3 was one of the worst. Like Rick Bonus talked about puck management how much this season. And then you got like a tired group out there, you're right at the blue line. You have the chance to just dump it in. He tries to make some move to the middle, and the Avs, 2 fresh players come right off the bench into a 2-on-1, and that made it 4-2 at the time. And that was like the most demoralizing goal because at
yep.
3-2, it was close. But yeah, like you said, puck management, that was just horrendous. That turnover at the blue line.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, just not being dumb is the thing. Like, there's been so many stupid, out of character mistakes that we've seen in the first 3 games in the series.
Mhm.
And I can't even a lot of the times say that it's because the Avs forced them to do it. A lot of the times it's just them just trying to force something through when they have an easier route available. Like, I'm even thinking like the when they're trapped in their zone, they seemingly only see the boards as the way out.
Yeah,
And
like
very
glass,
often they'll
yeah.
just spin and fire, and then the Avs will just stop at the blue line and then continue to absolutely just roll over them. If you just take half a second to be like, "Oh, there's a guy in the middle that could at the very least chip it out," we need to take that opportunity, because
Yeah.
if you don't, you're just giving the Avs another chance to just come right back at you. And I think the biggest thing for me is having that level of, intelligence throughout the entirety of the game, because one mistake, as we've seen, can lead to 5 goals. Um,
Yeah,
'Cause it seems like as soon as
it
the
could
Avs
lead to
start
an
going, that's it.
avalanche.
It's the
Yeah,
second they start finding their groove, there's no stopping them, and then the Jets fall right back into their passive. Like, honestly, I bet you, if the Jets just continued to just push right after
mm,
the Avs scored, you would see a little bit more of a hesitancy from the Avs. But it's like the second they go down, they're like, "Well, I guess we have to defend now." And then they just fall
yeah,
back into their own zone and get super passive, and then that's it.
yeah, and you mentioned, like, once the Avs get going, it gets really dicey. I I don't know. I've watched a lot of sports in my life. I feel like the Avs, when they're rolling, is something like when you're watching prime Steph Curry and he just sinks 3 threes in a row from 35 feet, and you just are like, you just kind of throw your hands up in the air and you're just like, what can you do? Like when Nathan McKinnon is galloping down the ice, going 45 miles an hour, like speeding in a school zone down the middle of the ice. Like you kind of just like, I don't know. You're just shrugging your shoulders. Like, I don't know. It's going
Yep,
so fast, and like they're so unbelievably good. And there it comes a point in sports. And I Elliott's not here, so I took the basketball reference. It's like Steph Curry
of course.
hitting 4 straight threes. It's like you just kind of shrug your shoulders and you're just like, there's not much you can do. Like special players are going to make special plays. Um, but anyways, I think today, where's the hope, Brian? I want to talk about this before we get into questions. Thank you to everyone. If you're here with us on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. We're here every single Sunday morning at 9 a.m. We really appreciate all of you being here with us today. Brian, where's the hope for Jets fans? Where can they point and say this will translate to today, and maybe even this series up? Because last Friday, the third period was a dark time on Twitter. Even the first period when the Jets were down 1-0, was just everyone was miserable. Things just weren't going the Jets' way. And where do you see the hope for Jets fans and the Jets today going into Game 4?
Limiting the Avs in the first period, because I honestly feel like if the Jets go down early, um, I don't know what to expect out of them, because as I said, like, it's
Yeah,
a level of once they go down, they panic and then everything goes wrong. So
yeah,
I truly think that limiting the Avalanche in the first period, and then obviously trying to get, your own game going, I truly think that is the only way that they can find their way into a tied series.
yeah.
Because, the later you go into the game, if you're still holding and, really, playing solid, I think that what you can do then is just kind of lull the Avs a little bit into thinking that, oh, they have to change up their game plan, or at least just try and rely on their guys. Um,
Yeah.
and then you might find a hole to make a play offensively. But that only happens if you play your game. And we saw it for 82 games in the regular season almost, where even when they weren't totally in it, there was still more of that game apparent in those games
For
as a
sure.
whole as there have been in the first 3 of the series.
For sure. I 100% agree, and I think before I get into where the hope is for Jets fans today, I think someone brought it up here. Wait, let me go find the comment. Basically saying this game will be won. Yeah, James, Avs fan who was at Game 3, the Jets need to take command in the neutral zone, force Colorado to dump and chase, rather than allowing a streaking forward to cross the blue line with possession. This comes up to what we've been talking about with playing passive. I think this game is going to be won or lost in the neutral zone. The Jets, all season long, one of the best teams at denying entries, neutral zone defense. Rick Bowness talked about it a lot. That's something they needed to do. That seems to have been completely nullified here by the Avs speed and the Jets playing passive in the neutral zone. like we said. I think forcing Colorado to be a dump and chase team is how you beat them. And then with that comes the puck management. Colorado's forecheck has been unbelievable in the first 3 games. Like, honestly, there are times where I don't know what the Jets defense should be doing because there's 2 guys on them and it looks like nobody's open. And it's just like, that is just a recipe for disaster. But the Avs experienced team, their forecheck is killer in the playoffs. So forcing them to be a dump and chase team, that's the first aspect of needing to get on track for game 4 today. And then the second part of that is when they do dump the puck in, their forecheck has probably been the best in the playoffs so far. So somehow beating the forecheck, and I think Nate Schmidt being in the lineup helps with that, some puck movement. And hopefully Brendan Dillon plays today as well, because then that second line can maybe move the puck a little bit better. We know Josh Morrissey's going to move the puck well. But yeah, neutral zone, nullifying the Avs forecheck in a way, not letting them have controlled entries. I think that those are the keys to victory. What do you think is maybe you mentioned the start of the game, not letting the Avs run rampant. But is there any X's and O's part that you're looking at that might be a key to victory today?
I truly think that it's, for me, there has to be something else that comes outside of the top line offensively.
Yeah,
Has to be.
agreed.
And you can't rely on your fourth line to fill in the gaps all the time because they're the fourth line. They're not out there all the time. Obviously,
Yeah,
they can be opportunistic, but you need that second line to do something. Just anything. Even if you're just in there with some zone time, just
yeah,
to try and, get it so you're kind of grinding them down. I think without any sort of tangible impact from that second line, I struggle to see where the situation lies for the Jets to be opportunistic, because then the Avs can see that they're struggling, that they're
yeah,
not blind. So
yeah.
obviously they just have to figure out a way to limit the offensive impacts from the other, couple lines and, curtains.
Yeah, exactly. I think CMAC brings up a great point here. Mark Scheifele has to put this team on his back today. He has to have a great game. That top line has produced in this series. Game 1, they had a monster game, and they were good analytically as well in game 3 at 5-on-5 at least. I did bring up the brutal turnover that Mark Scheifele had on the 4-2 goal for Colorado, which basically iced the game at that point. Which, that both those things happened. Like, he did have a good game up until that point, and then the turnover happened. But I think the second line needs to produce. Tyler Toffoli scored, but I think CMAC hits the nail on the head here. Lowry and Scheifele need to have great games today. And someone brought it up earlier, like the pushback. Yeah, Kim again. The ability to push back when down isn't there. I think it has to be there today. The pushback, like Rick Bowness talked about it last year, in a very fiery manner after the game. But like, this team won one game last year and then got reverse swept by Vegas. And injuries played a large role in that. Like, they didn't have Scheifele, they didn't have Morrissey, Nikolai Ehlers was hurt. All of those things, like, injuries happened. He said pushback. They didn't have pushback, and that's true. And the injuries happened. Again, both those things happened. But this year, you've got a fantastic team. You were the 4th best team in the NHL. You're down 2-1. You've blown 2-1 leads in back-to-back games. Like, this is the moment for this core today, is the ability to push back. This is honestly a defining game today, because like a core defining game, because again, like I said, you had the 4th best team in the NHL. Like, it's not like you squeaked in. You're a good team. You had home ice advantage in the first round, and you could be down 3-1 in the blink of an eye. So I'm expecting a desperate group today, and we'll see what happens. But I think it starts with Lowry, obviously the captain. It starts with Scheifele. It starts with Morrissey, the leadership group for the Winnipeg Jets, and it starts with Connor Hellebuck. Where are you? Where are you on the expected desperation meter for the Jets? Or do you expect them to be like flying early on? With, like, I know you said that was a key to victory, but given the fact that they could be down 3-1, they were an easy out last year. Do you expect maybe that plays a role in how they come out in this game?
I would hope. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot of guys who suffered the loss last year. that I would be more concerned than I think I've ever been, where if they come out and, as Rick Bonus put last year, and there's little to no pushback,
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with that, because that is truly like this is the game where you should expect to see, oh, we need to win this, because if we go down 3-1, we have another game to play left in, Colorado. That's an incredibly difficult hill to, conquer.
for sure. Yeah,
And I truly believe that, as you said, I think you'd mentioned it in the first part of your last, point there, kind of a
yeah,
core defining thing where the core went through this last year, got absolutely shredded by Bonus in the post game that they didn't do enough. And if
yeah.
they come out flat in like, obviously everything's a must win, but if they come out flat in a game that would put you down 3-1, as I said, I don't know what to do with that, because, like, do you then start, asking, did they learn? Where did they, put the, the experience from that? Because if they're not learning, I don't know what to, you know, how to handle that, because you would expect them to be like desperate and, fired up, and you really want them to be the team that we saw win over 50 games, the team that finished fourth
Yeah.
overall in points. Like, that's 82 games of a sample size showing that this is a damn good team. That if you can't at least draw on more of that in a game where you need to win, then I'm concerned about the remainder of this.
I 100% agree. And that's why I said it. Elliott was asking in our chat the other night, or I think this was yesterday, that the Jets were down 2-1 at that point. But he basically was asking, like, is there any hope left in this series, given how these losses have happened these last two games? And I fall back on that. Like, they were the fourth best team in the NHL this year. I not gonna throw that away. Like, that team, I believe, is still in there. They were on an 8-game winning streak, 9 if you include the first playoff game down the stretch. And those wins, like those wins against Dallas, those wins against Colorado, I'm not removing that from my memory. Like, what I watched was a team that defensively played outstanding in those two games. Yes, the Colorado game, obviously, we know by now that wasn't their A game, that wasn't their A plus game even, but they've played their A plus games these last two games, and the Jets need to respond with that. And Matt brings it up here. There are no excuses this year. I agree. Last year, you could fall back, say, "Oh, Josh was hurt, Nikolai Ehlers was hurt." Shifley was hurt down the stretch, or in that game 4, he left early and then didn't play game 5. Um, and even Rick Bonus said, like, those players weren't coming back. Like, those were legit injuries, and fine. But this team is healthy. Like, maybe Brendan Dillon plays today, maybe he doesn't, but that you got no excuses this year. You're a really good hockey team, and you got to go show it today.
Yep.
That's my speech. Put it on the wall. Put it on the wall, like the believe sign in Ted Lasso. Smack it on the way out. Anyways, let's open up the questions. While we do that, I guess I didn't really say, but I'm gonna give my where's the hope thing today, and that's the first two periods of game 3, and I guess the first period of game 1, the third period of game 1, that little stretch there. Like, there have been really good stretches of play from the Jets this year, especially at 5-on-5. And as early as game 3, the first two periods, like, you go back and look at the numbers, the Jets were dominating that game. At 5-on-5, the high danger chances were 14-6 in the Jets' favor. That is something that can be replicated. What has to change is the penalties, the discipline. People have been bringing it up all day in chat. The discipline has to change, and you can't take that many penalties, simply put. But I think if you keep this game at 5-on-5 and you play to your strengths, you don't play passive in the neutral zone, like we said, I think the Jets win today. Where are you at with a prediction today? I know we talked a lot about X factors, keys to victory, where the hope is for the Jets faithful here in chat with us on Sunday morning. But what's your prediction? Where are you leaning?
Uh, as much as I don't want it to be, especially for my own, sanity, it feels like a hold and secure thing in the third period, where the Jets may have a good first two periods, but you can't limit the Avs in its entirety
Yeah.
for 3 full periods. So I'm getting the feeling it's going to be like 3-2. Avs are going to be absolutely just insane in the third, and it's just going to be try and secure the fort and hope that you can, it just doesn't. I can't see it being where you manage to totally snuff out the Avs attack for 3 full periods. I hope that maybe it's a bit more decisive than that, but I'm thinking like 3-2 Jets.
3-2 Jets. Okay. I thought with how you're leading up there, I thought you were gonna go Avs, but
I'm putting the faith in the fact that we've seen it before where they have tried to just kind of hang on for dear life at the end, and I think that if they can limit them for long enough, it's going to get desperate for the Avs, and they might be able to do some things to break that up.
yes. Yes. Okay. Fair enough. I'm also gonna take the Jets, and you want to know why? The Jets are 1-0 in playoff games on LFP live game days. Analytics. Hashtag analytics. They are they're 1-0. They went 1-0 in game 1 when we did an LFP live pregame show. And hey, we're back here today with a game at 1:30. Everyone drop your questions below. We're going to open up the questions now to you guys. Thank you everyone who's here with us on a Sunday morning. We really appreciate it. Jeff, I'll start with this one. How long will Mitch Marner be a Leaf after last night's meltdown? This was nuts. Did you see this, Brian? What happened
Yes,
there
I
on
did.
the bench? Oh yeah, you sent it to our chat. What did you make of William Nylander basically? I'll let you take it. What did you think of that?
No, that felt like the moment that Mitch Marner signed
Yes.
his goodbye letter to the fans.
Yeah.
Um
I was gonna say the exact same thing. Yeah.
I truly think that he is the one that will be gone from the core because I mean the Leafs aren't winning the series, obviously. And there was, I think Sheldon Keefe is fired because
His extension hasn't
he
even kicked in yet. It
yeah,
starts next year,
I can't see how you retain him. Also because like the Leafs got, you know, kind of embarrassed on home ice last night,
2 games in a
and
row.
that was
Yeah.
happening. And there was a whole thing from Keefe where he's like, I don't think it's the effort. No, I think it's I'm like, so it's the coaching then, clearly. Um,
Yeah.
But no, I truly
Yeah.
think that Mitch Marner is the one to move in the offseason because you just signed Nylander. Matthews isn't going anywhere unless he asks. And
Yeah.
you can't move Tavares' contract still, and he's getting older, and he's like a
Yeah.
65-point guy, but at that contract, it's not. So Marner's the odd one out here, and I think this may have been the moment where I think we may have seen the boiling point.
I think so too. Like, the issue is all of those guys have no move clauses. Like, the Leafs just handed out no trade clauses to all of those players. So unless Mitch Marner wants to leave, um, he doesn't have to. And I saw a lot of people like doing mock trades of sending him to Utah and being like the star player on the Utah Yetis or whatever. We talked a lot last LFP live on potential names for that Utah team, but I'm excited. They'll probably be in the Jets division as well
The
as they are
Mammoths.
coming. They are coming from yeah, the Mammoth. I saw they trademarked like Mammoth or something like singular. It was the
I don't think
weirdest
that's how
thing.
that works.
I know. It made no sense, but it's like I don't know, Minnesota Wild or Colorado Avalanche, which makes sense, but when it's whatever. I'm not getting into that. People are dropping their score predictions below. Also with the questions. Coma here. Why does Bonus stick with Hellebuck? Excuse me. He's had 3 games to prove himself and he's failed. I think we talked about it earlier. Connor Hellbuck is not blameless. He has to be better, but I think the team in front of him has failed him more than he has failed the team in front of him. So I think that's why you go back with the guy who's gonna unanimously win the Vesna, probably. I think you bank on that sample size rather than the last 3 games where the team in front of him has been terrible. So that's why I think he sticks with Hellebuck. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, like I feel like there is enough clear and obvious issues in front of him that I feel like whether what you believe or not, I feel like Bonus is probably thinking that it's a disservice to Hellebuck to give up on him when the team isn't doing enough. Like, obviously,
Yeah,
if the team's playing fine in front of him and he lets in weak goal after weak goal, I think that you may have seen Brisebois
yeah,
already.
yeah.
But, I mean, if you look at the third period in game three, like, it was a shooting gallery. And,
It
there
was.
was nothing there. But I
Yeah,
think that if that doesn't happen and he still lets in five, maybe we see Brisebois.
yeah, yeah. Maybe we do in game 5. Like, we'll see. Would you sit Ehlers? If yes, who comes in? Nikolai Ehlers is another player who has had a rough 3 games. I think game 3 was his best. First 2 games, he did not do anything. That second line, we've talked about it a ton. That line needs to be better, and Ehlers is the driver in terms of transition play and things of that nature. He needs to be a lot better. Like with Hellebuck, I still wouldn't sit him because we have the regular season sample size of him being a great player and driving that second line, and that second line being a great line. Um, but if you were to sit him because he's hurt or something, I'd go with Cole Perfetti. He's proven he could step into a top 6 role, and I don't think anyone in the bottom 6 could step into that top 6 role and not lose a step in terms of the skill, because there's clearly a top 6 bottom 6 thing going on here where it's top 6 skill, bottom 6 kind of grinding shutdown. Where are you at with Ehlers in this series in general?
Uh, I think for him, obviously, we know he can be better. We saw flashes of some incredible puck movement in that first game where he was doing everything and then Monahan and Toffoli couldn't
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah.
And I truly think that he has that ability that we need to see more regularly, where carry the
Yes.
puck in,
Agreed.
come at the Avs with speed. Like, if you're flying at them and just make couple little lateral moves, you can probably get past. Like, it's that's the game that they need to play. That second line dumping the puck in, no,
Yeah.
you can't do
No.
that. You have the
No.
best entry guy on the team on that line. If you're dumping the puck in, that's it. Like, it's
Yeah.
like that's signaling that you are unsure of what happens next. And I
Yeah.
think that Ehlers needs to, be the guy that we've seen where he can bring the puck in and create room for the two scorers on this team, that
Mhm.
have proven themselves to be incredible goal scorers in their career and even this season. Just make
Yeah.
room for them with your skill and set them up. Like, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, and this is an up-tempo series. This is a speed series, and he can thrive in that setting, and he has in like his whole career. He has. His playoff sample size, I think in the playoffs he's been the past couple years he's been brutal. Except for the COVID year where the Jets swept the Oilers. He was great in that series. Scored had a 3-point night in the
Didn't play
5-4
last
OT
year.
win. Didn't play last year. And this year he's been brutal the first 2 games, a little bit better in game 3. He's one of those players that needs to be a lot better. But again, I just don't think you're sitting him for an Axel Jonsson Fialbi or a Cole Perfetti, who are the next guys in. I think the dynamic factors there with Nikolai Ehlers that those guys don't bring. Do the Jets re-sign Monahan, especially since he will want term, or do they go with Lambert as 2C and start incorporating the prospects into the lineup? If so, is Bonus the right coach? It's a great question. I think Sean Monahan, they do want to re-sign him, but like you said, I don't think they want to go long term because they don't want to block a Brad Lambert from coming up in that spot. Not as early as next year, I don't think. But if you give Sean Monahan a 4 or 5 year deal, that's the spot for the next 4 or 5 years, right? I think theoretically or ideally they'd want to go 2 years with Monahan. I don't know if Monahan would do that. The term would or the money would obviously be higher if it was a shorter term.
Mhm.
I do think they try everything to re-sign him and keep that term low. Do you agree?
I would say so. I mean,
Mhm.
there's been such a thing made of, they haven't had a true second line center for more than a season, like, ever,
Yeah,
where it was, they're always trying to bring someone in and then they leave. Maybe they come back like Stastny, but I we have not seen them re-sign that type of player.
yeah,
And so I think they're going to try and change that this year. But as you said, like, it can't be more than 2 years, where a Brad Lambert is going to be forced to come up and then play a position that he hasn't been playing for the last 2 years, right? So,
Yeah.
I think that's the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. Will Bones be back next season if the Jets go out round one? I think there's a team option there with his contract. I believe it's a team option, or it might be a coach option. I'm not sure. Um, sorry about that, but he I think there's the option for him to come back next year. I don't think he does. If I had to guess, I that's completely a guess, but I don't know. I just don't think so. Does this team need a whole new coaching staff? Not a whole new coaching staff. I think Scott O'Neill's been great. The special teams has really been a concern, and it's something that they'll have to address in the offseason. So that'll be something to watch as well. Jets win because of LFP bump. Absolutely. Um, that's funny. Why was Matthews playing last night? He looked sick and weak. He didn't play the third because he was sick. Um, Interesting. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Ground control had their Hellebuck jersey draw. Will LFP have one too? No, I know ground control is going live. They're doing this thing now where they're going live every game day. And we're kind of coinciding here. So we appreciate everyone being here with us on this Sunday morning. Even though we're not giving away a Connor Hellebuck jersey. um, yeah. Here, there's a ton of questions here. Let's try and rapid fire these because there's a lot that we need to get to here.
Yeah.
With the Moose out of the playoffs, do you think Ville Heinola could come up and help change things? I think he could. I don't think it happens. You?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Agreed. How shocked are you that the Moose went out two straight? Not all that shocked. I mean, they were like one of the best teams in the AHL the second half of the season. So it was like to see them go out two straight and in pretty quick fashion, and the scores weren't even really close in that game, or the second game at least. I think they lost 2-0. Didn't score a goal. But I wasn't too shocked. With the Moose, I mean, especially the Texas Stars actually. Maybe I was shocked now that I say it out loud because Logan Stankoven's up with the Dallas Stars, their best AHL player when he's down. And the Moose were one of the best teams the second half of the year. So I was a little shocked. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, where
Mm,
we all know that with what that Moose team was earlier in the year, it doesn't necessarily shock me that the Stars were able to take advantage of some of those things and score in bunches because
mhm,
it was close, but I truly think that um, with what Texas still has, even with Stankoven up, they're still a very, very good team. The Dallas farm
mhm.
system is fantastic.
Yeah.
They have done an incredible, scouting job in the last several years here to build that up, and we're seeing that now. As Moose fans, that run up against them in the playoffs and they bully over because
Yeah.
they're just a really, really good team. I could see them going fairly far this year, so it's not necessarily shocking. I was hoping to see at least one, win, but what are you going to do?
I was hoping to see them win so that they'd have a playoff series back here, be able to watch them in the playoffs. That'd be cool. But next year, we'll have to watch the Manitoba Moose. Where's AJF going to play? I think if he is in the lineup, it'll be on that fourth line with Nemesnikov and Iafallo. Add some speed, add some penalty killing. I think they need that, both of those things badly, and I think that's why they called him up. And I think he does slot into the lineup for David Gustafsson, even though Gustafsson scored in game two. I think that is the case. Is the Jets' problem the game plan the coaches are using, or the players not executing the plan? I think it's a little bit of both. Like the execution has been off. I brought up that 4-2 goal for Colorado, where like Rick Bonus can talk about puck management all season long, and he has. But when Mark Scheifele makes a move to the middle and loses it, and the Avs go back down and score and make it 4-2, that's not Rick Bonus making that turnover, like, but all the things that we mentioned earlier, the passive play in the neutral zone, like that, I think is a coaching decision. It looks
Yeah,
like a coaching decision. It doesn't look like the Jets are
or
like,
at
that's
least
not
a coaching
how they
decision
play.
to not go away from it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Let's get to some more questions here. There's so many. Thank you everyone for asking questions, being here, being a part of the conversation. We really appreciate it. Um, oh yeah, I guess we did just talk about that a little bit. I think they are a little passive in the neutral zone. And that might be a coaching decision. How do the Jets avoid melting down in individual periods? One period in games 2 and 3 cost them those games. It's a great question. Um, Penalties. Like
Yeah,
penalties are leading to the meltdowns because you put the Avs on the power play. and things just go nuts. And I think playing passive as well is in the end more tiring because you're spending more time playing defense. And I think that that's what killed them in game 2. It wasn't necessarily penalties, but they were playing so passive that the Avs were playing great in that second period. It was just kind of a matter of time. And then you throw in a mistake from Hellebuck playing the puck and things of that nature, and off you go. But I think penalties is the biggest thing. How do you see the Jets avoiding a meltdown in game 4 like they did in game 3?
I mean, penalties for sure. I do also think that a tasteful timeout could be good, to be honest with you.
A
Obviously, you
timeout.
don't want to throw away your timeout, but
I'm a big
there has
fan
been
of
so
using
many
timeouts.
situations.
Big
Yeah, we don't see it a lot anymore, but
You
there has
don't.
been a few situations where if I'm the Jets, I take a timeout to be like, "Hey guys, what the hell are we doing out there?" And just try and slow things down, take a little bit of momentum away from the Avs, um, and just kind of try and get back to it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be a good thing.
Yeah. I agree. Who's been showing up every game this series? That's another really good question. Um, who do you think? Kyle Connor, I think, has been the Jets'
Yeah,
best player. Immediately
no,
off the top
he's
of my
been
head, I was trying to
fantastic.
think. He has, and he's looking like the early season version of himself, where he's explosive, he's driving play, he's getting to soft areas, and then he has one of the best releases in hockey. When he gets there, he can make goaltenders pay. I think he's had an incredible series, along with Josh Morrissey, who I think has been great as well. I throw Adam Lowry in there. They've done a really good job against the McKinnon line. They don't have the matchups today. They didn't in game 2 or game 3, excuse me. But I think those 3 players for me have been standing out in a positive way. Who are some players for you, maybe outside of those 3, or just echoing those 3 who have shown up in every game?
I would say the entirety of the fourth line for me has been um there's been a consistent, effort level from them. Obviously, they put a couple pucks in the net, but they haven't necessarily been able to, be that, chance generating line, but they're
Yeah,
opportunistic. They're not out there that much, but when they're out there, they seem to make an impact. I've been very happy with especially Vlad Domestikov's game, but that's not a surprise. Like he's been a rock for them all year. And
yeah,
I feel like uh that fourth line has been, one of the few um that has been consistently the same effort level. They're giving them they're not disappearing. Like I notice when they're on the ice. So
yeah. Yeah. A lot of people bring up LeBron, um, because I don't know. I don't know who brought up LeBron initially. I think it was Matt, LeBron's tantrum. I will not take LeBron James slander. I'm a massive fan. I have a jersey of him from the Heat, from the Cavs, and the Lakers. So the Jets losing to the Avs right now and the Lakers losing to the Nuggets. Colorado's just throwing a wrench in my week. Absolutely. But last night's game, they finally won, but that series is over. They're down. They were down 3-0. Now it's 3-1. But yeah, go LeBron. I don't care about the Lakers. I just care about LeBron. I'm one of those guys. And I fully lean into it, by the way. I'm not trying to say I'm not. Um, yeah, good call in the timeout. I do like when coaches use timeouts, but no one uses them. And like the Jets got destroyed. Like, why, when they went down 3-2 in the third period, was there not a timeout called? Why, where you were up 2-1 and they were up 3-2 in the blink of an eye? Call a timeout, calm the group down, and like, look, Rick Bonus has left 3 timeouts in the holster, and there's 3 games in this series where the team could have used a timeout. Like, I don't know. The timeouts, I think, are underutilized in a big way. I don't know if it like disrupts the flow of things or what coaches why they don't lean into timeouts more, but I thought the third period when you're getting shelled and the Avs score 5 unanswered, like there's no timeout there anywhere where you could use a timeout. Like I don't just a breather. Like I don't know. I don't know. Where well, yeah, we talked about the timeouts. We don't have to get into that any further. Casey also making some hits. This is a big like he's in on the forecheck, making
I think I
making
once
plays,
said
disrupting
that
pucks.
Kyle Connor never saw a board battle that he liked. And he's gone away from that. I like it.
Yeah, Absolutely. T-Kona, rye or rum. It's 10 a.m., man. No, but where are you at? Where are you at with this one? Usually we're up talking brisket, talking food,
Coffee.
and hey, coffee. Now is right around the time where we get into the brisket discussion. Where are you at on this one?
I'm more on the rye side of things, but if I could choose,
Mm.
it's neither. It's bourbon.
There you go. There you go. Big bourbon guy. You were the one that showed me, what was it, like some Kentucky Woodford Reserve
Oh, yeah,
thing?
it was at
Because
Woodford Reserve. I like Woodford.
yeah,
It's good.
there you go. I know Sammy Smokes is in on that as well, for sure. Don't bring up the yeah. Yeah, there we go. It's just like sports, like I should just give up. The 49ers fan, Lakers fan, uh, LeBron fan. And then yeah, here we go. This is it today.
Well, don't forget about Kentucky basketball.
Oh yeah, well that's less like Kentucky basketball. I can give up on that any day. I think I'm okay with that. But anyways, there's so many great comments in chat today. Thank you to everyone who has been here, joined us for LFP Live. We started late, but we're still here talking. The game starts at 1:30. Sammy Smokes, Double Oak, Woodford Reserve. There you go. Um, holy moly. Watching from China. I need to stay up till 2:30
Whoa.
a.m. That's crazy. Yeah. I hope they show up or I will be exhausted and dejected tomorrow. For your sake, I hope they show up. You're a trooper. That is legit.
Oh, thanks for
Staying
watching.
up till 2:30 a.m. Yeah, thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. I'm not sure what time. I'm not good at doing math on the spot, but not sure what time it would be there right now. But we really appreciate it. And go watch a Rockies game if you want to feel better
Oh, it's
about
bad.
Colorado. It's bad. Well, the Jays aren't
I don't
much
want to talk about it.
better.
I don't want to
Well,
talk
yeah.
about it.
Well, let's throw in another
I'm waiting
team.
for Gold Eyes season.
Throw in another team. I guess the Bombers is all I've got. Is the team that actually has had some success over the last like what 4 years. And anyways, that's the
Yeah.
only Jays are terrible. For
Let's
sure.
go Gold Eyes.
Gold Eye season is here. Max Murphy re-signed. We're
Oh,
fired up and ready to go.
huge. Yeah,
Huge
home
signing.
opener, May 21st. Get your tickets.
Oh yeah. We'll be there. All right. If anyone, Jays suck, go Dodgers. We should have had
Wow.
Ohtani. We should have.
I
That
don't,
that
I don't want
that
to talk
time
about
where
that
he was
anymore.
that like 3-hour stretch where everyone thought he was on a flight to Toronto was one of the craziest days.
JP Morosi, count your days.
Oh man, what a day that was. What a day. Can't wait for Gold Eyes season. Me too. Nothing's better than a Gold Eyes game.
Huge year coming ahead.
Huge year. There's a lot of excitement around the ballpark, around Blue Cross Park. Lots of excitement.
Blue Cross Park, brand new scoreboard.
New scoreboard. That's huge. All right. On the way out, thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. On the way out, drop a prediction. What do you think happens today? Do the Jets win? Do they even up the series? Drop a score prediction. If you have a goal scorer that you like as well, throw it in there. Where are you guys leaning on today's game? Drop it in the comments below. And thank you for tuning in to the 11th edition of LFP Live. Brian, any words and final predictions for today on the way out?
On your way out, make sure that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell beside the subscribe button so you don't miss any of these ever, because we want you here. And yeah, I'm hoping for a Jets win. I am unfortunately stuck at work the entire game, so I'm going to keep monitoring it, which honestly might be more stressful, but it will be it'll be something. I can. That's all I'll say. It's like, and that'll stay true regardless of what happens.
Yeah, that it will be something for sure. It continues to be Sunday. That's a great prediction, and you know what? That is going to be the most accurate one. Yeah, big if true. That'll be the most accurate one. Wow, lots of hat trick predictions. 5-3 Jets win on an Ehlers hat trick. I'd like that. 3-2 Jets in overtime. Scheifele hat trick. That would be the greatest game of Mark Scheifele's career if that happened.
Yep.
That would be crazy. Love that prediction as well. Go Jets, win or else the series is done in 5. Big one today. Can't go down 3-1. Jets 4-1. Hellebuyck best game of the year. Lowry line 2 goals. That is, I can get behind that as well. The Lowry line scoring a few times.
Yeah, a lot of predictions out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we really appreciate everyone being here with us, dropping your predictions. I'm torn. Hart says Jets. Hopeful 3-2 win. Jets win 4-3 and no OT. Thanks for the great podcast as usual. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, no OT for I think it was Anthony who's watching from China. No overtime because if it goes to like triple OT,
might as well just not go to bed at that point.
No sleep. Exactly. Can't you can take the boy out of Winnipeg, but can't take Winnipeg out of the boy. Oh yeah, all day. All right. Let's get out of here. Thank you for tuning in. Like Brian said, hit the like and subscribe on the way out. Enjoy the game today, everyone. We'll be back Tuesday with episode, 88, I believe, the Nate Schmidt episode of the Level Flight podcast. So tune in then. And obviously, we'll be back next Sunday. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the game today, everyone. Go Jets, and we will see you on Tuesday.